The marble was so cold under her low-heeled black pumps that it almost hummed. Agnes Thorne, 52 years old, a black widow in a tailored black housekeeper dress with a crisp white collar and a small gold locket against her throat, walked up the curved staircase of the Korean Mafia mansion carrying a porcelain tray. At the top stood Kang Ji-hoon, 28, the boss they called Ash, the dark koi-and-serpent tattoo curled along the right side of his neck, the charcoal gray silk shirt open over a black undershirt. Looking down at her, the way men in that house looked at everything they expected to own. He did not own her. 3 weeks later, alone with him at midnight in his own kitchen, she would press her palm flat against the center of his chest, hold his gaze without raising her voice, and say 6 quiet words that would unmake a man who had never been unmade. His mother would offer her an envelope. His mother would offer her humiliation at a dinner table. And Agnes Thorne would answer all of it with a single folded letter on a desk in the dark, and a closed apartment door painted soft green. How does a black widow in a white collar walk into a Korean Mafia house and walk out with her name still her own? While the cold boss everyone fears learns, for the first time in his short, loud life, that some women are not handled, they are deserved. Before starting the story, comment down below where you are watching from and what time it is there. If stories of karma, love, and hidden truths move you, leave a like, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and click join to become a member and help our channel. The iron gate slid open before Agnes Thorne could lift her hand. A black sedan idled. A man in a dark suit waited on the gravel, earpiece blinking, face carved into a square. Name: Agnes Thorne. Purpose: housekeeper, hired yesterday. Walter Brennan checked a tablet without looking at her. His shoulders said sit and wait. His eyes said leave while you can. This is not an ordinary household, he said. She held his gaze. Good, I am not an ordinary woman. For 1 second his face moved, then it went blank again. He stepped aside. The mansion sat on the hill like a closed mouth. Cold marble, black columns, a driveway long enough to feel like a warning. Agnes carried a single canvas bag. A thin silver wristwatch caught the morning. A small gold locket rested against her collar, warm from her own skin. Inside, the air smelled of polish and money. A staircase rose in 2 curving arms toward a balcony of dark wood. A woman in a starched apron took her bag without a word and led her down a side corridor. "Mister, Kang does not like noise," the woman whispered. "Then he will like me," Agnes said. The woman almost smiled. She did not let herself finish it. By 11, the kitchen had been mapped. By noon, the linen closet. By 1, she had folded the white collar of her black housekeeper dress flat against her throat and pinned her long black hair into a low knot. By 2, she was carrying a tray of tea up the east staircase. She felt him before she saw him. He stood at the top, one hand resting on the carved railing. 28, tall. The charcoal gray silk shirt hung open over a black undershirt. The dark koi-and-serpent tattoo curled along the right side of his neck. A single platinum chain. Black trousers, black Oxford shoes. His hair fell slightly tousled across one brow. He looked down at her the way men in this house looked at everything, as if it would obey. She climbed. She did not look up at him the way he expected. She looked at the wood, at the tray, at the cups. She climbed at her own speed. At the top she stopped. Their eyes met for exactly 1 second. "You are new," he said. "I am. Do you know who I am? I know who pays me." A small muscle moved in his jaw. Park Do-hyun stood 3 steps behind him in a black turtleneck, a thin scar running through his left brow. Park did not blink. He was already cataloging her. "Tea is in the study," she said, and walked past Ji-hoon. She did not hurry. Her low-heeled black pumps made no noise on the runner. She set the tray on the desk, arranged the cups, and left the room without closing the door behind her. Closing it would have implied she had been allowed in. Ji-hoon stood in the corridor and watched her descend the stairs. "Who is she?" he said, quietly. "New housekeeper," Park said. "How old?" 52. 8 shem, that was all. But the 8 shem was the wrong shape. Park heard it. Downstairs, Agnes stepped into the staff hall and pressed her palm flat against the cold wall. The gold locket warmed under her dress. Inside it, behind the small glass, her late husband's photograph waited as it had waited for 9 years. A man with kind eyes, a man who had loved her without translating her. "Real love does not disappear," she murmured to no one. "It only moves." She unpinned her hair, then pinned it again. Neater, she had made a promise to herself when she crossed the gate. She would do the work she had been hired for. She would not bend, and she would not be invisible, no matter how many marble columns these people built between her and the sun. Footsteps. Walter, in the doorway. He cleared his throat as if he had a bone in it. "Mrs. Thorne, Mr. Brennan," he asked your name. She turned her head slowly. Her dark brown eyes were calm. "He could have asked me." Walter's square jaw shifted. He stood there a moment longer, considering. Then he gave her the smallest possible nod and went out. That night the mansion settled into its long silences. Marble floors hummed cold beneath her shoes. Agnes walked the lower corridor with a folded set of fresh towels. From a half-open door, she heard low Korean, Ji-hoon and Park, a quiet argument over a name she did not catch. She kept walking. At the end of the hall, she paused under a tall, narrow window. The moon laid a pale square on the stone. She set the towels down. She opened the gold locket for one breath, looked at the small photograph, closed it. Behind her, a footfall, not Walter's heavy step, not the maid's quick one. Quieter, considered, she did not turn. "You should be asleep," she said. "You should be afraid," Ji-hoon answered from behind her shoulder. His voice was low, cold, curious in a way that did not match the cold. She closed the locket and slid it back beneath the white collar. She picked up the towels. She turned. He was close, closer than a stranger should stand to a housekeeper at midnight. "I have already been afraid," she said. "I do not have any left." She walked past him with the towels. His hand did not lift to stop her. But for the first time in the 4 years he had ruled this mansion, Kang Ji-hoon turned his head and watched a woman walk away from him. And he did not know what to do with the silence she left behind. By the third morning, the staff had stopped pretending not to watch her. Agnes arrived in the kitchen at 6. She set out porcelain, sliced pears, brewed a pot of barley tea, polished the long oak table. Her thin silver wristwatch flickered under the pendant light. Her black housekeeper dress fit her slender frame as if it had been waiting for her body for years. Ji-hoon came down at 7. He did not come down at 7. He had not come down at 7 in 2 years. He sat at the head of the table. He did not open his phone. "Tea," he said. "It is in front of you." He looked at the cup. He looked at her hand pouring. "You do not call me sir. I call you what you have earned." Park, in the doorway in his black turtleneck, made a sound that was almost a cough. Ji-hoon's eyes did not leave her. The dark koi-and-serpent on his neck shifted as he swallowed. "What is your name?" "You read the file. Say it." She did not. She set the teapot down and walked to the side counter. He drank slowly. Then he stood slowly and walked out. The maid in the doorway stared at Agnes as if she had grown a second face. "Nobody talks to him like that," the girl whispered. "Then somebody should have started a long time ago," Agnes said. It became a pattern. The library at 4 in the afternoon, the kitchen at midnight, the east corridor when he could not sleep. He never asked questions she could refuse. He asked questions she could only answer with silence. And the silence sat between them like a second person. On the 7th evening, she was dusting the shelves of his private study. He had not knocked. Of course he had not knocked. It was his house. "What is in that locket?" he said. Her hand paused on a leather-bound spine. The gold pendant rested warm against her white collar. "My husband. You are married." "I was." He did not say sorry. He did not say anything for a long moment. The platinum chain at his throat caught the lamp. "Show me." She turned and looked at him directly. Her deep brown eyes did not move. "No." The word landed in the room like a small stone in still water. "Why?" "Because real love does not disappear," she said. "It only moves, and it does not need your permission to keep existing." He sat down very slowly in his leather chair. He was 28. He had killed men. He had broken families. He had bought silence from senators, and he did not know what to do with one short answer from a woman in a white collar. 3 days later, Rachel Vance arrived. She came in a black town car, mid-20s, Korean-American. A glossy black bob cut sharp at the jaw. A scarlet silk slip dress that cost more than the staff wing earned in a season. A heavy gold cuff bracelet that she touched too often. Mrs. Kang Ji-hoon descended the staircase to meet her. Late 50s. Tailored ivory hanbok-inspired suit, silver-streaked black hair in a low chignon, a pale jade brooch, pearl earrings, cold mouth. This, the matriarch said, presenting Rachel to her son, is the daughter of the Vance family. I see her, Ji-hoon said. Rachel smiled. She did not look at Agnes, who stood by the door with a tray of glasses. She looked through her. Could the staff bring water? Rachel said, in the tone reserved for furniture. Agnes set the tray down on the side table. It is on the table, she said, calm, even, final. Rachel's smile did not move, but her eyes did. They flicked to Mrs. Kang. Mrs. Kang's gaze settled on Agnes with the soft weight of a closing door. Ji-hoon watched all three women. He did not speak. That night Agnes worked late. The mansion was asleep. The kitchen smelled of cold barley tea and lemon polish. She was wiping down the marble island when she heard him. He stood in the doorway. The charcoal gray silk shirt was unbuttoned. The black undershirt fit him close. The dark koi-and-serpent on the right side of his neck looked black in the low light. You should not be in here alone with me, he said. You should not be in here alone with me, she repeated, without lifting her eyes from the marble. He walked in. He stopped on the other side of the island, close enough that the air changed. I came to talk. You came because you do not know what to do with a woman who does not want anything from you. His jaw moved. I want something from you. That is the problem, she said. She set the cloth down. She turned to him fully for the first time. Her honey-toned, dark skin caught the warm underlight of the range hood. The white collar of her black dress sat crisp against her throat. The gold locket rested between them like a small witness. He took one step around the island. She raised her hand and placed her palm flat against the center of his chest. He stopped. She did not push. She did not lean in. Her hand simply stayed there, warm through the cotton of his undershirt, a quiet wall. You are 28, she said. Yes. I am 52. I know. She held his gaze. Her voice was low, steady, almost kind. You're too young to handle me. He did not breathe for one long second. She lowered her hand. She walked past him without looking back. From the dark corridor behind the kitchen, half hidden in the doorway of the dining hall, Mrs. Kang Ji-hoon stood very still. Her pale jade brooch caught one thin line of light. She had seen the hand. She had seen the chest. She had seen her son not move, and she began in silence to plan. The summons came at 10 the next morning. Mrs. Kang Ji-hoon received guests in the east drawing room. Cream silk walls, a low lacquer table, a single arrangement of white orchids. She sat with her hands folded over an ivory clutch, her silver-streaked black hair sculpted into its low chignon. The pale jade brooch sat exactly at the hollow of her throat. Agnes entered in her black housekeeper dress with the crisp white collar. The gold locket rested against it. Her long black hair was pinned low. Her low-heeled black pumps made no sound on the soft rug. Please, Mrs. Kang said. Sit. Agnes sat. Her back did not touch the chair. My son, Mrs. Kang said, is a complicated man. I work in his house, I do not study him. Ah, a small smile, the kind that does not warm anything. Mrs. Kang opened the ivory clutch and placed a white envelope on the lacquer table. It was thick. The edges were sharp. There is enough here, she said quietly, for a small house in a quiet town, for a comfortable retirement, for peace. You will leave today. You will not say goodbye. You will not write. Agnes looked at the envelope. She looked at the jade brooch. She looked at Mrs. Kang's careful, intelligent eyes. You believe everyone has a price, Agnes said, because you have never met anyone with worth. The pearl earrings did not move. I will not insult you twice, Mrs. Kang said. You have already insulted me once. Agnes stood. She left the envelope on the table. She walked out. In the corridor she did not pause. She did not lean on a wall. She walked straight to the linen closet, closed the door, and pressed her palm flat against her sternum. Under it the gold locket warmed. She breathed once. She breathed twice. Then she went back to work. Dinner that night was set for 8. Mrs. Kang had arranged it. Rachel Vance sat to Ji-hoon's right. Her scarlet slip dress had been replaced with a long black gown. Her gold cuff caught the chandelier. Park Do-hyun stood by the wall, his scar pulling slightly under the light. Walter Brennan waited just outside the door, hands clasped, listening for anything that was not silver on porcelain. Agnes served. She moved around the table in her black dress and white collar with the dignity of a woman who had served at tables far simpler and far harder. Her thin silver wristwatch caught the light when she set down a dish. The gold locket rested against her collar. "Mrs." Kang spoke without looking at her. "In our family," she said to Rachel, in English so Agnes could hear it, "we believe that those who serve us belong to one part of the house, and those who eat with us belong to another. Confusion of those parts is a form of disease." Rachel laughed lightly, a small, polished laugh. Agnes set down a porcelain bowl. Her hand was steady. She did not look up. "There are women, Mrs." Kang continued, "who forget which side of the marble they were hired to stand on." Ji-hoon set down his chopsticks. He stood up, the room stopped. "Mother." "Sit down, Ji-hoon." "No." His voice was quiet. The dark koi-and-serpent on his neck moved when he breathed. "She is staff, Mrs." Kang said. "She is a person. That is not her position." "Her position," he said very slowly, "is beside me when she decides that I deserve it." The chandelier did not move. The silver did not move. Rachel's small polished smile cracked at one corner. Park's eyes lowered. Walter, in the doorway, glanced at the floor. Agnes did not move. The pitcher of water rested in her 2 hands. Her face did not change. Her deep brown eyes did not lift. Ji-hoon looked at her. He waited for her to look back. She did not. She set the pitcher down. She walked out of the dining hall with the same calm step she had walked in with. In the long corridor, she did not stop. She climbed the back stair. She entered his private study. She did not turn on the lamp. She sat at the dark desk. She opened the drawer. She took out a single sheet of cream paper. She uncapped the heavy fountain pen. She wrote, "Kang Ji-hoon, I have already been a wife. I have already been a caretaker. I have already been a widow. I have already been invisible. I will not be anyone's shame. This is my resignation, effective at sunrise. Do not look for me at the staff door. Do not send anyone after me. If you have learned anything in the last 3 weeks, you will know why." Agnes Thorne, she folded the letter once. She placed it in the center of his desk, under the small bronze paperweight shaped like a sleeping fox. She set down the pen. She left the room. In the staff wing, she packed her canvas bag the same way she had unpacked it. 2 dresses, 1 pair of pumps, the thin silver wristwatch on her wrist, the gold locket against her collar. She did not cry. She did not pace. She sat for 10 minutes on the narrow bed with her hands folded. At 3 in the morning, she walked out through the side gate. Walter Brennan was in the gatehouse. He saw her. He stood up. "Mrs. Thorne." "Mr. Brennan." He looked at the canvas bag. He looked at her face. He did not raise the radio. "Safe travels," he said low. "Ma'am." She nodded once. She walked out into the dark street and did not look back at the marble columns. Behind her, in the upstairs study, the cream-colored letter waited under the bronze fox, addressed to a man who had just learned to defend her, 1 hour too late. Ji-hoon found the letter at 4:15 in the morning. He had gone to his study without turning on the overhead light. The desk lamp threw 1 warm cone onto the wood. The small bronze fox sat exactly where it always sat. The cream paper folded under it was not always there. He read it standing up. He read it twice. When he finished, he set the page down very carefully, as if it might break. He pressed his palm flat over it. He stayed like that for 1 long minute. Then he understood. She had decided to leave before he stood up at dinner, before he defended her, before he chose her in front of his mother. She had walked into the dining hall already free of him. Whatever she had said at the kitchen marble had not been a request. It had been an honest sentence. "You're too young to handle me." Not a flirtation. A diagnosis. He did not call Park. He did not call Walter. He did not take the car with the tinted windows. He took his own coat. He went down the back stair. He drove a plain dark sedan through the empty city alone. The charcoal gray silk shirt buttoned all the way to his throat, the dark koi-and-serpent on his neck hidden under a turned-up collar, the platinum chain tucked inside. Her old apartment was in a quiet building over a closed bakery. 3 flights of narrow stairs. A door painted a soft, faded green. He stood in front of it for a long time before he raised his hand. He knocked once, politely. The door opened the width of a careful crack. She was in a simple dark cotton dress. No collar, no locket on the outside. Her long black hair was loose, falling over one shoulder. Her honey-toned dark skin looked tired and beautiful in the corridor light. Her deep brown eyes did not register surprise. "You came alone," she said. "Yes." "Without your men?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because you were right." She did not open the door wider. She did not close it. "About which part?" "All of it." A small breath moved her shoulders. "Say it." He swallowed. The platinum chain shifted under the silk. "I came to your house with my mother's money in my name and my father's silence in my blood, and I called you new, and I told you to say your name, and I asked you to show me your husband, as if any of those words belonged to me. I am 28 years old. I have ruled a house I did not build. I am not a man yet. I came here to ask if I can become one. In front of you. Slowly. Without your roof, without your kitchen, without your collar." Her hand rested on the edge of the door. "That is a long sentence for a man who used to speak in one word. You taught me." She looked at him for a long time. "I am not going back to that house. I am not asking you to. I am not going to a hotel with you. I am not going to a restaurant with a private room. I am not going anywhere where the staff knows your face. Then choose the place." She considered him. The corridor light flickered once. "There is a small Korean restaurant," she said. 4 blocks from here, plastic chairs, no tablecloth, the owner is rude, the soup is honest. Friday at 7. I will be there. Alone. Alone." She closed the door gently in his face. He stood in the green corridor for a long time. He did not knock again. Friday came. The restaurant was small and bright and ordinary. Yellow vinyl menus. A noisy fan in the corner. A grandmother behind the counter who shouted orders in Korean without looking up. Plastic chopsticks in a chipped white cup at the center of every table. Agnes arrived first. She wore a soft gray wool dress, the thin silver wristwatch on her wrist, the gold locket against her throat on the outside where it had always belonged. Her long black hair was pinned in a low knot. He came in at exactly 7, without a coat, without the platinum chain, the silk shirt buttoned, the dark koi-and-serpent on his neck partly visible above the collar because he had stopped hiding it. He sat across from her. The grandmother shouted at them. Agnes answered her in calm, clear English. The grandmother shrugged and brought 2 bowls of soup. They ate. For a long time they did not speak. The fan rattled. The neon sign in the window buzzed. The soup steamed between them. He set down his spoon. "Am I still too young to handle you?" She looked at him. Her deep brown eyes were warm and unimpressed at the same time. "You still are," she said, "but maybe you are smart enough to learn." He nodded once. He did not reach for her hand. He did not promise her a house. He did not ask her to come back to the mansion. He picked up his spoon and ate the rest of his soup in silence beside her, the way a man eats beside a woman whose time he has not yet earned. Outside, on the cracked sidewalk, she pulled her wool coat closed. He stood beside her, a careful distance away. "Walk me to the corner," she said. Yes, they walked. The streetlight made a soft pool on the pavement. At the corner she stopped. "Good night, Ji-hoon." "Good night, Mrs. Thorne." He waited until she had crossed the street. Then he turned and walked the other way, alone, the dark koi-and-serpent visible above his collar, his hands in the pockets of trousers that no longer felt like armor. Inside the gold locket against her collar, behind the small glass, the photograph of her late husband was still there, where it had always been, where it would always be. Real love does not disappear. It only moves. Agnes Thorne did not find a younger man to make her feel alive. She found a man who had to grow up to deserve sitting beside her.
If you want to watch all the stories without any ads and also get access to bonus scenes, extended epilogues, and exclusive spicy chapters, head over to our Patreon. Scan the QR code on the screen. The link is in the description or in the pinned comment. See you there.
If this story moved you, stop for a moment and reflect. Have you ever been treated as small in a room where you were the only adult who knew what dignity actually cost? Have you ever been offered an envelope when what you deserved was an apology? And have you ever walked away from a beautiful house to keep something more beautiful than a house? Your own name? Tell us your experiences and feelings in the comments. We read them all. And if you believe in stories about dignity, maturity, and forbidden love, leave a like, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and click join to become a part of our community and help the channel.